I'm your host, Blake the Eccentric, and welcome to the Eccentric Perspective on the New American Media Radio Network, if you will. And I'll be here live for the next, we'll see, my sandbox tonight, a little special episode. Going to be talking about Ebola, of course, and any other news and current events that anybody would like to discuss out there. And yes, the people can participate, if you will. You can always call us, and I say us because I'm expecting to be joined momentarily by Brian Engelman of the New American Media. So we'll wait for him to pop up in the studio, but you can call us 347-539-5076, whatever's burning on your mind, and more. So, anyway, where to begin? Oh, there we go. Let's see Brian right now. I'll pull him up. Greetings, Brian.
That's a good place to begin.
Yes, all right. Not sure if I had it all set up correctly, but it looks like it's a go. So, all right, here we go. A little special broadcast. Brian, thank you for joining in.
Sure thing. Thank you for grabbing the wheel and steering. Anytime.
So, well, I guess there's a big story on everybody's mind today. Do you know what that
would that be that would be the Los Angeles Dodgers getting eliminated last night?
Absolutely. So you know exactly where I was going with that. What did you think of that game last night? Do you imagine that home run? Why don't you walk us through every detail of that at bat? All right,
I'm good.
I wouldn't even know. You could probably make up stuff because I didn't watch it. Of course, I heard
and
then
the giraffe pitched it to the gorilla, and then the turtle couldn't get to the ball. So then the thing won. No, sports is not the most important thing for just a moment right now. That would be Ebola. We need a sound effect for Ebola, like some sort of, in a cavernous tunnel with a booming voice.
Wait. Okay, I've got two. I don't remember what they both sound like. So let's. Okay, why don't you pick? What was the more appropriate sound for Ebola? Here's number one.
Okay. All right, let's hear the second one.
Okay. Number two. Yeah, I think number two is the winner for sure.
I don't know if it's for sure. I think both of them could work, but if you go back to the second one, we only need 6 seconds of it.
Ooh, it takes a while to build up. We'll try it.
And now, on the TNAM Radio Network, Ebola Watch 2014. Okay,
all right.
That's it.
That's good. All right, excellent. All right.
So from now on, that's how we roll.
Excellent. Will do. Yeah, because there might not be that many more shows left. Because if this, if any of the fear mongering is remotely true, then we might. Who knows? Who knows how the world? We're talking about sports. There might not be any sports in a couple of months. We're talking about a game changer, I guess. Life as we know it would certainly, I'm not saying it would end, but it could shut down for 6 months or a year and might not recover in the same way. I have no idea. I don't know, Brian. I mean, that's on the bad end, and of course we hope that does not happen. Of course, so far we only have one real confirmed case here, although there have been plenty of rumors swirling that there could be more people, more numbers, and we don't really know how far this goes. So that's why it's, I guess, on everybody's mind, because it's really an earth-changing type of event scenario That's possible, but we don't know exactly where it goes yet. Brian, I hand it to you.
So you want to play some Ebola ball? Yeah, it's a game changer, and there will be no sports.
Yes.
And now, what you've all been waiting for, it's Ebola ball.
Yes, enjoy your last week of football, America, because now we're going to be quarantined.
No, the Browns are 500, and they're playing. The Cleveland Browns are playing good football right now. We're 500. Brian Hoyer looks like a legitimate NFL quarterback. Josh Gordon isn't even on the team yet, and the defense hasn't even gelled under new head coach and defensive guru Mike Pettin. I will not have a decent football season ruined by Ebola.
Well, maybe you can still watch it from your FEMA camp, and that'll be good.
Oh, do we have FEMA region music?
No, that's a good idea. Let me FEMA. There we go.
And now, live from FEMA Region 9, it's Blake and Brian.
Okay. All right. Cut. All right.
We could do like Good Morning Vietnam, like live from FEMA Region 9.
Right, for maybe 3 weeks until we get thrown into one of these plastic coffins.
Until we have to start digging a ditch.
Digging our own ditch. That'd be even better. Digging our own ditch so we can put in one of these plastic coffins and I can stuff 4 of us in there at a time. Very efficient.
I actually did. I worked at a job one time where I had to train the new guy that eventually ended up taking my job. And, I referred to it as digging my own ditch. Like, the more competent I made this guy, number one, it showed that I actually knew my job, which is crazy. And number two, I'm like, I'm just digging my own ditch here, aren't I? That's how this is going to work, right? I'm going to have to go stand next to it and face the other direction and then pop. Yeah, kind of. So then I was released.
Ooh. And then it was all downhill from there, huh?
Yeah, then I started doing radio, so I showed them.
Gave up on life and had to settle for radio.
Gave up on life. Oh, if I had a nickel for every time I gave up on life.
Right.
But really, what's the name of this clown that's in charge of the CDC?
That's a good question. I can probably dig that up. It might take me a minute or two. And actually, let me just pull up my Twitter account. I'm sure I can find it. An excellent article from the Daily Sheeple recently. I'm sure I could find that on my Twitter feed if I can find a way to navigate. Here we go. All right. Give me a moment, Brian, and I will find that answer for you.
Yeah, sure thing. Just do me a favor. Please keep an eye on the studio. We've invited people to listen, so maybe we will have folks communicate with us, and you are in charge of the captain's log.
Hi.
What do you call it? You're the commander of the ship.
The studio, right.
Yeah.
Okay. They've changed this Twitter thing, though. I don't even.
But I mean, have you seen? Have you seen this guy giving all these speeches with the CDC? Yeah. It's like, wow, this is like Jay Carney mixed with Lois Lerner, mixed with Susan Rice, mixed with Hillary Clinton, mixed with like every incompetent twit that we've seen over the past few years. Like, this guy is just a complete clown.
Oh, yeah, there's a brilliant article. Yeah, I got his name right here. His name is Dr. Tom Frieden, CDC director. Yes, that's because he made this incredible statement, which was, one of the hot articles the other day. TruthStream Media from Melissa Melton, the CDC chief, who said that banning flights from Ebola-ridden African nations will cause more Americans to get Ebola. Yes,
can you tell me what he means by that?
Well, here's this quote. He says, "Even if we tried to close the border, it wouldn't work," the top health official added. "People have a right to return. People transiting through could come in, and it would backfire because by isolating these countries, it'll make it harder to help them, and it will spread more there, and we'd be more likely to be exposed here. That is an exact quote. It is, yes.
God, that is the dumbest crap I have heard. That's like
no,
that's like the
yeah. It's not necessarily dumb. It's more of the Orwellian. It looks dumb, but perhaps he was unable to, I don't know. He didn't want to answer that question directly, and so chose to answer it stupidly, and thus appears stupid. But, with the, I guess that's, well, I don't know, we can hit this later, I suppose, because making you ask the questions, are they really this stupid and incompetent, or is it something more sinister? And we can debate that
it's
as well.
Sinister.
So, Brian, yes.
It's sinister.
It's
got to be sinister, Blake. It has to be. Who's saying that we're not going to send aid workers to where there's a raging wildfire? Who says that by putting up firewalls we're going to stop sending firefighters into the inferno? Who the hell said that? He's answering a question that nobody said.
Right. Yeah, you wonder, because you don't expect this kind of a statement from the CDC director in the last, because you can't think that he'd really be that dumb or anything like that. This violates every protocol, which I guess is why some people, I guess there's been insiders leaking information, saying that this is, this totally violates everything that everything we're supposed to do in this situation. So why is this being allowed to happen, or are they doing it on purpose? Yeah, the things that we don't want to answer. And I guess that brings up another quick question, Brian. Which is scarier, the fact that they are grossly incompetent, or that they might be doing this on purpose? Allowing I've
had the same conversation about our president. Is it that he's incompetent, or that he's in on the overthrow, the intentional collapse, that they need to bring America down a few pegs? We've had it too good for too long.
Right.
Man, that's a great question. Is it that we're in on this, or is it that we're too incompetent to handle it? I mean, you tell me. It was a YouTube video that caused Benghazi. Nothing even remotely true about that. Never was anything remotely true about that.
I agree completely. Yes. So yeah, I guess it looks like it's falling apart. So I guess where do we go from there? Is this like an end game, or is this a false flag? Are they just trying to get a reaction? Do they really have this under control? Do they think they can contain this? What are the motives here? Are they going to try to get everybody into I don't know, or is this the Georgia Guidestones? We can go back to that from the 2014 thing. Are we being run by a bunch of, crazy eugenicists trying to set up some sort of martial law medical tyranny? I mean, these weird questions. Or you have to say, yes, these people are totally incompetent. The head of the CDC is a complete buffoon, has no idea what he's doing, and this Ebola thing is, I don't know, I guess nothing to worry about. I'm not really sure because, well, we can go into there too. I don't know which direction to go in. My head is frankly quite spinning. Brian, I don't know what to think anymore.
Well, you said your head was going in a couple directions. Which directions? Let's jump down the crazy train. Go through the looking glass.
Jump. Oh man. Well, let's see here. What direction are we going in? Brian, why don't you give me something? Where do you think I'm going with this? Maybe one way, one direction.
I don't know. I mean,
before I jump off the crazy train alone here.
No, you're not. Come on, man. We've been doing shows for 2-3 years. Like, we're definitely of the same opinion that events are being steered by surreptitious forces that say one thing and do another, that never make their presence felt publicly, and send up little puppets to, I don't know, keep the charade going, keep the clown show alive. How could you believe that a country that has the capability to be in charge would not do its due diligence to immediately shut down flights from a very small, select group of tiny West African countries, tiny compared to the entire world, of course, and just say, look, we're going to keep an eye on this for a while. And by the way, this whole tens of thousands of illegal immigrant children flooding into our country, undocumented, with tuberculosis and God knows what else, I always thought that could have been a biological weapon from day one. From day one. And where does Dallas, where does Texas border up against? Well, that'd be Mexico. So, I mean, are we to just believe it's about this one person, and now it's two people? And I don't buy it. I don't believe any of the lies. I don't believe them at all. We can say that.
You're right. That's probably the biggest.
I don't believe them at all.
I totally agree. I think that is the biggest problem at the end. No matter what, you really don't know who to believe. But this should just never have ever happened, and that it is happening, and they're acting like it's not really that big of a deal, and people shouldn't be panicking, and they're still not, really shutting everything down still. And then to another point on there, speaking of the border, there's been, let's see if I can find this article here out of CBS DC. The GOP representative, Duncan Hunter, from California, says that at least 10 fighters for the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, the ISIS group here, or Al-Qaeda, whatever you want to call them, have been apprehended trying to enter that border. And the bigger point is those are just the people that we caught. Obviously, we're not exactly doing a whole lot to shut the border down, so you have to wonder, of course, how many people did get across. And, there's a Mike Adams article today. He's an interview with another radio host. Let's see if I have it. Dave Hodges, Natural News. Where was I going here? Talking about how, people, I think this is where I got it from. The people that, if they're willing to, strap a bomb to themselves to blow up a bunch of innocent, what's to stop them from, contaminating themselves with this crazy Ebola running wild for a few weeks, kind of like the 12 Monkeys guy, the guy at the very end. He's going to make a travel plan. He's going to travel around the world with this virus. And how easy would that be with the right bioweapon type of thing? And this reeks of that. And that goes in another direction, but I'm going to stop there, Brian.
No, go in the other direction.
You wanted to add? Okay, well, just to keep going, because well, here's another crazy question here. Not that I know much about Ebola. Maybe what I've seen is through Hollywood or whatever, but it seems like it's something that I would have thought if you contracted Ebola, you would get symptoms right away, much like you would get the... Does something like the flu, does that hang out in your body for a few weeks before you start getting the symptoms? Or is there
21 days they're saying that this one has an incubation period.
But where is that maybe I should have looked that up. Where is that compared to normally? What did Ebola in the past? Is that how it's always been, or is this a new strain? And
I posted. I did a show.
Any other disease?
On, I did a show on the New American Media with Agree to Disagree with John B. Wells, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it's up on the website at thenewamericanmedia.com. If you go under politics, or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia, and somebody commented in and did this whole. I don't know if it was a cut and paste job. I mean, there's probably a cut and paste job. But they listened to the show and they did some research, and they said that Ebola first came out, I believe, in the mid-'70s. I'd have to pull it up to double check.
Could be about right. I know there was I could even probably pull up an article. I know that the guy who discovered it had an article and stuff, so it's out there.
Mhm. Well, I know that Rachel Maddow tonight was laughing at Duncan Hunter, I believe that's his name, about the 10 illegal or the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just caught a 10-minute clip where she was just laughing at Duncan Hunter and called the office, and they said, well, what he meant to say was people with affiliations in ISIS, and we may be releasing more information tomorrow. Just laughing. Like, how ridiculous to think that if someone wanted to cause damage, they would actually just fly into some third world country, work their way up through Mexico, and hop the border with a drug cartel. That's insane to think about. How in the world is that insane to think about? That's what I would think about. If I were a bad guy, that's exactly what I would do. That is exactly what I would do. I'd probably come down through Canada, actually. But Canada or Mexico, it's freaking easy. If you pay someone the right couple of $1,000s, and you keep hearing that ISIS is making, they're making multi-millions of dollars every single day. How the hell are they making that much money?
Right. Yeah, I don't get why. Yeah, a lot of these pundits they act so confident, like this is all under control and that everything's fine. And I mean, literally, we're talking about something, an event that could literally kill millions of people, and it's like a joke to them that we would even take this kind of risk when this violates every protocol that existed before. But now we're crazy for saying it, and then the CDC is speaking out of, like he's straight out of a George Orwell novel.
Yeah. And I also had unconfirmed reports a couple of days ago that had said that patient 0 had died a couple of days ago.
I heard that rumor too. Yeah.
Rumor, unconfirmed, unsubstantiated. But, I mean, why are we supposed to believe the rumor that this was actually patient 0 and not a couple of people that infected themselves and came up through the southern border? How would we know? We wouldn't. That's the answer. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would take, with this incubation thing, a few weeks. Oh, I guess, that would do that. I was just going to ask you, Brian, because you said you were discussing this, the incubation thing, in period. And I was going to ask, because I don't actually know, but is there anything else that takes that long to start getting symptoms? I've never heard of such a thing. Like, if you get a cold or something, you don't go, oh, wow, maybe a few weeks ago I forgot to wash my hands or something, and maybe that's why I got a cold. You would, what other like virus or bacteria or whatever you want to say, hangs out in your body for a few weeks, takes a little vacation, builds up, and then all of a sudden just starts liquefying your organs like overnight. I mean, what the hell is that? Does that exist in nature? Is this something unique? Am I missing something, Brian, or am I a crazy conspiracy theorist?
Yes and yes. No, I will say that if you talk about sexually transmitted diseases, they say you could get tested and be fine. Your test results would show up. You're cool, but you have to go I think 6 months to get retested because the symptoms won't show up for up to 6 months. So,
I think
guess in that realm,
yeah, you're right. The HIV,
AIDS
or AIDS, or that's one that takes
a while
to show up. Yeah.
Yeah, and
all the others.
Yeah. I think, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just know I got my to quote or paraphrase Chris Rock. Took my AIDS test, passed it, got a 65.
Yeah.
Passed it, got a 65.
Because he's talking about all the because then you start like psychologically you start thinking about all the bad things you've done in the past, and because you got to start worrying about like where did I get it from, and I won't get into some of the other parts of that.
Yeah, you're like, "Ooh, I'm good." It's like, no, you're not good. You gotta go 6 months to make sure that you're good. So, I know at least in that case
right.
It takes a while, but you almost literally can't believe anything of any official narrative coming out of this administration. Not that you could really believe the last administration either. Don't get me wrong on that, but it's almost like whatever they're saying. You know, I just watched. I was checking out an interview. You know, I do both. I watch MSNBC and Fox. I got to hear what they're both saying, and you know, interviewing some of those people that were on the ground in Benghazi. You know, just saying, you know, this whole YouTube video thing, a complete lie right off the bat from the beginning. There was no stand-down order. Bull crap. We were given a stand-down order. We were ready to go, and they told us don't. They said don't go. That's a stand-down order. That's exactly what it is. Oh, and they're just laughed at. Anyone that says, oh, you're giving a stand-down, oh, you have a problem with the official story, Benghazi, what's wrong with you? We told you what it was. Yeah, you were lying. They were lying. You know,
no,
that's
Rachel Maddow laughed
learner.
at them, and that's Trump said.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a Saul Alinsky tactic. You got to mock and ridicule. You know, so go ahead, mock and ridicule, but you whether it's Lois Lerner, you know, I mean, come on, everything about her is a lie. Oh yeah, we lost all of our hard drives. The information's stored on servers, not hard drives. Yeah, we lost our hard drives. None of the info's there. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Period. If you like your plan, you can keep it. Period. So you can't believe anything about Obamacare. You can't believe anything about Benghazi. You can't believe anything about the IRS. You can't believe that if you're on a waiting list, you're actually on a list waiting to get treatment at the VA. Nope, they took your name and threw it in a drawer. You're not on a waiting list. Lying to our veterans. I mean, go down the list, my friend. Whatever's going on, you just can't believe it. So, I mean, are we just supposed to accept that, oh, yeah, we're safe? What was it, the week before Ebola got here? And it was like, no, that could never get here. That won't get here. We're safe. And then it's here within a week. I mean, really? Within a week?
Yep.
Okay.
And they let up, but that was even like they even opened up the front door and rolled out the red carpet. Like, oh, you're from Liberia or whatever. Yeah, come on in. You got to fly back to Dallas? Sure, no problem.
Yeah, and this idiot at the CDC is like, well, we're asking, we're putting questionnaires out there, and we're asking people, could you have potentially got, so we're putting information on there, and I mean, to do anything more, that would just create more Ebola. What? What are you talking about? You mean you take a couple Advil and you lie? That's like in the movie by Stephen King and the book by Stephen King, The Stand. This is Campion. He's the guy that escaped from the lab where the virus got out, and he spread this stuff everywhere. He's the guy that caused it all. This idiot, we got to have compassion for this
Way
guy.
to ruin it for me, Brian. No, it works.
That was in the first scene.
Oh, okay, yeah, when the MP. All right, I got you. The very, very, very beginning. Okay, maybe they must flash back to that at some point later. Then, all right, good, because I'd forget that. All right, never mind, Brian. You're okay.
Yeah, because he's the one that gets out.
Part two. Right.
Oh, okay. Where are you at in the stand right now? What's going on?
I'm exactly halfway through.
What's occurring right now in the stand? For the people that aren't familiar with it, what's the stand about, and where are you at?
The Stand is a Stephen King novel turned into a 4-part movie, I guess. They probably did it over a course of a month back in 1994, and they have a pretty good cast, but it is a little bit cheesy. It's a little aged, but it's an interesting story, and sticking with it. It's got Rob Lowe and Barry Sinise and a little Molly Ringwald. Yeah, it's got an interesting cast and characters. Side issue, the point is that there is a disease, but in that case, it's not a 3-week incubation period. It acts very quickly, but a small fraction of people are apparently immune to this thing, and I guess they're going to they're trying to find each other, I guess, because most of the people in the country are not alive anymore, and so the people that are left, I guess, try to meet. And there's a certain, well, I guess I'm still kind of into it. Like I said, I'm only halfway through it. I'm trying not to give any spoilers out. But that yes, I guess they're kind of dealing with the changing world that they find themselves upon and meeting new unlikely friends and sticking together. And that's what I know so far, without giving away too much. Which can be found on Netflix, instant Netflix, by the way, if anyone wants to watch. But it is 6 hours. It's long, but there's a lot of references to it now. It does apply to the Ebola crisis today, so people should go check that out if they will. But keep in mind, it is 94, and it's a little cheesy, but that's all good.
Yeah, well,
Brian, you're like,
I'm going to watch it now that it's on instant Netflix.
Right. But this is something that's very dear to you. I don't know if you want to give out any more information, but it does apply, I suppose. And yeah, basically, one of the other issues with it is that you can't really trust the people in charge the way you'd like to. They have reasons to keep information from the public, and people need to keep that in mind. If anything happens here, do you want to go into a FEMA camp because you trust the government? You're talking about, do you trust? You're running over all the issues where they've been caught lying so many times. If the government says, hey, why don't you come over to this FEMA camp and take this vaccine and we'll protect you from the Ebola virus. Do you go? Yes or no?
Wow.
But there's weird elements to that because, if people are sick, how are they going to round people? I mean, we can go into so much different any issues with this. I mean, this is just a crazy story that kind of came out of nowhere, and now we're looking at a life-changing, earth-changing event, potentially, if this gets out of control. And I don't know what to think anymore, Brian. And, I'm in a vulnerable spot myself. Speaking of that, the economy, anything. I mean, we're talking about life changing forever. We're talking about no more sports. We're talking about an economy shutting down. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about worst case scenarios here. So I don't want to raise the panic because I don't know. Maybe hopefully. I mean, the good news is hopefully nothing happens and this is contained. But I mean, if we lose the containment. We shouldn't even be having this discussion because the borders should be closed and nobody ever should have come into this country with Ebola or anybody from these countries that have Ebola. That was really a stupid move. I mean, you could argue for that doctor in Atlanta who was taken here, and I guess they contained that, and that was okay, even though it was risky. But this other case was completely inexcusable, and not to mention the fact that this hospital actually had this guy in its possession, and they knew he was from Liberia or whatever, and then they still let him go and gave him antibiotics and more exposure. That's another side issue to this. But, I mean, if this gets out of control, Brian, I don't even know where to stop here, but, I mean, you're talking about, I was going to get into, how much it could affect me. I'm over here in Vegas. You're talking about a lot of tourism and stuff. You get one case of Ebola here, and this town is history. It's over. I mean, you're talking about, sports are done. People aren't going to be able to go to their job because everyone's going to be afraid to leave the house. And the economy shuts down because you've already got that over in Liberia. I mean, you basically got a big quarantine in effect, and people aren't going to school. They're not going to work. There's no economy. There's nothing moving with commerce and what have you. So imagine what happens to these these major cities here in America and how vulnerable we are. You're talking about the borders being open and the ISIS, and if there are some crazy radicals that want to take us down, I mean, what better way to do that with when you've got it's like having it's like beyond suicide bombing because you can only kill the small amount of people around you. But imagine if you were contagious for 3 weeks with this horrible virus, the amount of damage you can inflict is astronomical. Brian, I'll stop here because I've gone in 12 different directions. Go ahead.
Well, by the way, in the stand, I don't know if you've caught on to it yet, but there are two cities. You said they imported Ebola to get some of those doctors back to work on them, and looks like they've been air quote cured. I believe in the stand they make their way to Atlanta, to the CDC. I believe it's Atlanta, and then they find what they find there. I won't.
Yeah, I think it's one of their headquarters. Yeah, or it is their headquarters.
And did you get to that part in the movie yet?
No, that has not happened. From all I know is that they are moving to a centralized location and then going from one central location to another, and that is where it ends. That is where my journey ends so far. I don't have to pick up on it either later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a pretty creepy scene. I will not ruin it for you. But also, I don't know if you've started to gather that your not-so-humble hometown, in the immortal words of George Knapp from Coast to Coast, my not-so-humble hometown of Las Vegas, what does he call it? The land of sin, sun, sand, sex, and something. But yeah, in the stand, Las Vegas plays a huge role in the movie.
Oh, nice.
If you haven't figured that out, you're about to find out really quick.
In the first two, yeah. Well, they do show one of the characters on his way, so it is part of that, and yeah, I can see that. No, okay, that gives me even more incentive to keep watching it.
Exactly. I keep putting little buckets of water out, and then at the end, you're going to find the river for yourself, the pond for yourself.
In all its glory. All right.
I don't know. I mean, we were supposed to be worried about SARS. We were supposed to be worried about the bird flu, the swine flu, and nothing came of that. So, let's just not even worry about this one, because this could never be a thing. I have people legitimately telling me that. That's some people's point of view. Don't worry about it. Nothing ever happens to other stuff, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, they've found a way to actually politicize this, which just blows my mind. And yes, and it seems like there's most of the people, as you've mentioned, one of their leaders, Maddow, one of their leading thinkers. Yeah, and so it's mostly what I've seen is the liberal media, and I'm not trying to pick sides here, but this should not happen. We should not be discussing this. They have made some serious issues and don't seem to be doing anything to ease the public's fears. And any more cases of that? I'm talking about just the magnitude of this. If this had happened in, say, Dallas is obviously a major city, but you talk about a tourist type of city like Las Vegas, and you could think about how many people are international people that could conceivably carry something like this all over the globe, every corner. Everybody in the world comes to Las Vegas. This town would shut down if there was a case that went public. And it would be over. It probably would never, ever recover. Who would want to come to Vegas? I mean, you're talking about something of this magnitude, and then you got Rachel Maddow sitting up there laughing about, these people thinking it's, silly that some people might come over the border with, what have you. It's totally insane, out of control, and they're acting like it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Is it like just? It's going to be some Roman Empire reference here, like Nero fiddling while Rome burns. And it's pretty crazy. In fact, just looking at this InfoWars article, it's an interesting video in their top article today. White House reporter caught on a hot mic. Have you seen that one, Brian?
Which one?
Is the White House reporter caught with is on a hot mic saying that we're screwed. You got a couple of reporters talking about they're talking about the briefing on the Ebola outbreak, and one of them goes, shoot. And then somebody says, the most interesting thing is the travel stuff. And the other person says, yeah, we're screwed. And the other one says, if the DC test comes back positive, I'm doing, and then that part's kind of inaudible. He says, all weekend. And the other person says, oh, yeah, the stupid mic. Like, oops, is this on? Yeah, so because there's been an Ebola suspicion, somebody in the hospital there, potentially with Ebola-like symptoms. And you start wondering, yeah, if that's in your city there in D.C., who knows how far that's gone. And if you're a reporter there, yeah, you start to think, like, do you want to leave the house? And that's kind of one of the things I was asking you about the other day, Brian. It's like, yeah, should I go to my day job or should I stay at home? I mean, how bad is this? And if there is one case reported, I mean, that's going to set the whole, it'll set your whole town in a panic because, you don't know how widespread that is and, is it worth it? Do you just want to leave the house? Is the economy going to collapse? I don't know. Totally insane. Totally out of control. How would you even be able to leave? Would I be able to leave if I said, hey, I want to get out of Vegas because there's a case reported and I don't know how far this is going to go, but are they going to clamp down and say this is a quarantine zone? Citizen, you're going to shut down it's going to be, you try to leave to California or Utah or Arizona or something, and there's going to be, there's going to have a roadblock set up, and they're going to turn me around and send me to my nearest FEMA camp. I mean, this is earth-shattering type of stuff here. I don't know, Brian. I don't know what to say anymore.
Well, first off, if the DC test comes back positive, I'm going to tonight. What exactly was inaudible, and what would you fill that in with?
All right.
No, so the reporter says if the test comes back inaudible or positive from DC, I'm going to do a lot of blank tonight. Is that what it was?
I'm doing blank all weekend, and I'm not really sure what that means, but I would assume they'd want to probably staying at home or something. But they sound concerned about maybe not traveling. That's what the person says. The woman reporter.
What do you think
is the travel stuff?
What do you think the person said, and what would you say?
I would assume I'm doing...
Say the whole sentence and then...
If a DC test comes back positive, I'm doing blank all weekend. What do you think, Brian? We'll fill in the blanks
Cocaine.
That's
the first thing I thought of. Like, this guy's just going to...
Anyway.
Yeah, just tons and tons of blow.
Get a mountain of coke. There we go.
A mountain of cocaine.
You know what?
If the DC test comes back positive, I'm doing tons of hookers this weekend.
Tons of hookers and blow. All right, we're all gonna die.
What would you do if you felt like it was all hitting the fan? What would you do this weekend, according to that guy?
Boy, that's a good question, and I'm trying to think if there was a hypothetical. Like, what if the FEMA and the government was cool? They'd be like, dude, you can go to the FEMA camp, or we can lock you in the house. You're probably going to die, but here's just a ton of coke. Just party it up and have a good time, and then you're probably checking out, but just enjoy the time left that you have on the earth.
Enjoy your 21 days.
Because you can't go to the hospital. They're all backed up. Yeah, because most of the medical staff is going to quit. They're going to be exposed. They're going to be overloaded. The hospitals are going to be overrun, and those are your two options. That'd be cool, like the cool FEMA. Here's just a suitcase full of drugs. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we've been stockpiling from the Noriega days. Here you go. Here's your government rationed portion of blow. Now have a good time for the next 3 weeks and just don't cause a problem, all right?
We've been shipping it in from other countries and basically running the drug cartels for the last few decades. So we've been kind of running the war on drugs. We have a surplus, and there's nothing you can do about it because you'll be dead in a few weeks. So it won't matter. So just enjoy yourself from your government. We just want
I would go out so far out on a limb to say that I don't think that reporter caught on mic said, if that DC test comes back positive, I'm going to do tons of CrossFit this weekend.
Right.
I don't think he would have went there. That just a hunch.
No, I don't either. And this is right at the end of a White House press briefing on the Ebola outbreak, which I'm sure is publicly available, but they obviously sound concerned, and maybe they're not believing what they heard. I don't know who ran the conference. It was Josh Earnest. That certainly wouldn't make me feel better, but and I don't think it would for them either. What if Jen Psaki came out and who are the other ones? Marie Harf, and they all got together and told us that everything's fine. Would you believe it? It's three of them, and then we'll put the CDC guy out there too.
Hold on, which three? CDC guy, Jen.
Yep. Psaki.
What's her name?
Psaki, whatever.
Oh, did you see her fumbling, bumbling, stumbling for her lines the other day?
Oh, she's hilarious.
It's
never-ending comedy. And you have Marie Harf.
I swear, they put up the least competent person. It's like Murphy's Law in this administration. You know, the White House is secure. The White House is secure. Yeah, I don't know, unless you want to run across the lawn and walk inside and look around for the president. Unless you want to be like some creepy, weird felon and jump on the elevator with him. No big deal.
I know. I don't even know what to say.
But here's a question
yeah.
There's a really good, and you can listen to it on iHeartRadio. It's 6:40 a.m. WKFI, more stimulating talk radio.
Indiana.
WNBC. Anyway, KFI. It's Tim Conway. The son of Tim Conway. So this is Tim Conway Jr. And I just caught before we got on this program. I was listening to him, and they were talking about who in the heck is going to ever rent the Ebola apartment.
Yeah, that's good. Or you just anywhere near that building. You wouldn't want to be anywhere near that whole entire building. So that's a good question.
Get me the heck out of there. I'd be out this weekend. I would have been out last weekend. Like, peace out. Keep my security deposit.
Dude, I'm going to have to dovetail that into a scary story about a potential second Ebola case, speaking of the apartment, and not the people that live in it. I don't know, Brian, if you've heard this, or if this is confirmed or not. I don't know what time this came out today.
I have heard this. And I believe when you, and I think I misspoke earlier. I think the show that we were talking with John B. Wells about Ebola was on Eccentric Perspective, but it's also linked at the New American Media because that was the one we did a couple of days ago or a week ago.
Last week or something.
But what I said on that show was if we have 3 cases, we're screwed. We are in trouble. So now this is case number 2, right?
If it's confirmed, and I'm not 100%, but somebody has fallen ill that was in that apartment, and within that kind of time period, you have to be concerned. I mean, it's obviously, I don't think you'd report it if you just had a little sniffle or something. It must be something more sinister than that. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, it takes 3 weeks, but I mean, I don't exactly know. I mean, this was probably over a week ago, so I don't know. More than that, because the guy came in the country the 20th. I don't have the exact timeline in front of me or when this supposed second victim entered the apartment, but it was but I mean, it's certainly a scary story here, and it has to deal with one of the sheriff's deputies. He was forced to enter the apartment where Ebola victim Thomas Eric Duncan stayed before he was taken to hospital and has fallen ill. And we have a statement issued by the city of Frisco, that would be a suburb of Dallas, suggests that a second potential victim has been taken to that same hospital, the Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, and the CDC claims the patient did not have direct contact with Duncan, and he was not one of the 48 people being monitored by federal, state, and local officials. However, according to the Dallas Morning News report, the individual was one of the sheriff's deputies who was forced to enter Ebola victim Duncan's apartment last week. Duncan's family told the media they received no advice from the CDC on how to go about cleaning the apartment, and it was a number of days before a professional hazmat team arrived to clean the building. So,
how in the world could that be the case?
Well, it's assuming this guy is confirmed, because if it's confirmed, and this is where this article is going, if it is confirmed, that leads us to some pretty scary stuff here. It would be a huge embarrassment for the CDC because they've claimed that it can only spread through direct contact, but they were actually contradicted by WHO, the World Health Organization, who said it can also be spread indirectly, just by not necessarily through the air, but like through particles, saliva, sneeze, whatever. It can float on little particles, and it can spread that way. So it's not just exactly what the CDC is downplaying this. But if that does happen, and then they have to worry about sending this poor guy into this apartment and exposing him after they've said that, don't worry, as long as you don't, touch him or, play with his, touch his bodily fluids, you'll be okay. So I guess this guy thought he was okay. He's fallen ill. We don't know exactly if it's confirmed, but if it does, then yes, you could be looking at, it could be more than 3, Brian, people that live in his apartment, and however many other people that were exposed to him, because I think I've heard some count, CDC saying 48, I've heard 80, I've heard maybe 100 people that have potentially been in contact, and it could take, a long time, of course, before they see if they start experiencing symptoms or not. But I'll stop there, Brian.
Well, we have a new contributor at the New American Media. His name's Sterling Holmes. You'll see us retweeting a bunch of his stuff over the next, from now on, and as long as that goes well. And he just sent this. The question is, does Obama have Ebola?
Ebola. What are they calling him? Ebola?
Ebola? Yeah, I don't know. But this is by Clifford F. Thies. This article says it's not just us who noticed that President Obama is not making any joint appearances with Democratic candidates. Writing for the New York Times, Jonathan Martin described Obama as a, quote, isolated political figure, end quote. He notes the president is being restricted to private fundraising parties because even the slightest injection seems perilous for Democrats. In the meanwhile, over in North Korea, Kim Jong-un still has not been seen since September 3rd. Most recently, he was missing from the victory celebration for the athletes returning from the Asian Games in Incheon, South Korea. They continue to say he suffers from discomfort. Is discomfort code for Ebola? So this is like a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing here. But they've also said that Ebola mutates, and that the strain that you have,
right?
Yeah. Oh, it's not airborne. What, today? On Wednesday? What about Thursday?
Yeah, you get enough people infected carrying that thing around, and it's only a matter of time, or when and not if and not when. I don't know, but
this could definitely lead to martial law, man. It could absolutely lead to martial law, without a doubt.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you, and what should be. If this was under like Reagan, if this was like 1983 or something, and there was an outbreak, but President Reagan got on the TV and made one of his great speeches and told us that everything was going to be okay, and that they just needed to isolate this virus, this epidemic, so we could stop it and be okay, and then we only had to do the martial law thing for just for a month until we could make sure that we quarantined and got everything under control. You know what? I think the America could probably go along with that, and we could have trusted them to do it. I'm not saying that, it would have been a great scenario, but I would feel in a lot better hands than I would with Obama, and to be fair, under Bush or Cheney, Rumsfeld. I wouldn't feel any better under them either, to be fair. But I'm saying that I certainly wouldn't trust Obama and this administration and FEMA and the CDC and any of the
I wouldn't trust
people
these guys.
running Congress. Yeah.
I wouldn't trust these guys to change my tire.
Could you imagine if they should just have government like government like car care, like like they could run all the like the oil change places and stuff. How much better do you think that they would be run if it was just our taxpayer dollars going to some giant government bureaucracy, and they could rotate your tires and change your oil? Would you like that, Brian?
Yeah, I think that would fix things. It's a one-stop shop, I tells you. One-stop shop. Anything you need in life, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, because people always complain anyway that they're getting ripped off at some of these places. Why not just have the government just run all any fixing the cars, anything like that goes?
Well, you're saying that they're politicizing it. In what ways are they politicizing this Ebola thing? I want you to expand on that.
Well, I just feel like it's become a left-right issue where you're seeing the right is really concerned and the left is laughing.
Well, but that's because the right sometimes makes sense and the left is completely stupid on almost every issue.
Well, I don't...
Yes, I'm saying it. The left is just wackadoodles. Not everybody.
They're so convinced after the Bush-Cheney administration that they just will not. They've become experts at not listening to anything that comes out of the right side, even when they're right. And they fail to look in the mirror and realize that them and the people they're standing in front of are just as bad. I guess is what I would say on that, because if it was Bush and Cheney still in power, or even Romney, who knows, it'd probably be just the opposite or something like that. Then it'd be it'd be Megyn Kelly laughing at people for getting concerned about Ebola, and Rachel Maddow going, "Oh my God!"
Megyn Kelly is not anywhere near as smarky and disgusting as the MSNBC crew or Bill Maher. No way, not even close. Rachel Maddow.
At this time, I would agree. Yes, Megyn Kelly blows her away. It's not even comparable. It would have
Megyn
to be
Kelly
weird.
is professional. Greta Van Susteren is professional. Bill O'Reilly gets fired up, but he's for the most part professional. But I mean, it's just that condescending, mocking. It's really like seventh grade school president politics that you see on MSNBC and the Bill Mahers and stuff from time to time. Although Bill Maher coming out, did you see his recent battle with Batman?
I saw part of that, but I also put out a really good story the other day, which I found off of Twitter from Luke Radowski, where a guy from Islam was slamming Bill Maher for basically, trying to associate all of them as radical terrorists when it's not even close to true. And so I would, I don't know. I see some of these weird stories where the right is agreeing with Bill Maher, and I'm usually against Bill Maher no matter what. And even when the right thinks he's in the right, I still kind of am skeptical of Maher. The Islam thing. Yeah.
Just admit it. It's because he's a Jew.
Sure. Yes. I just hate anybody, right? No, but that's one of the things that's one of the other things that they will agree on. The right wing will say, at least he's right on Israel and against, all this. Here's the story. Religious scholar slams Bill Maher on live TV for comments about Islam, saying that you can't just, take a few these few crazy jihadist radicals and then demonize all of Islam. That's like saying that, Westboro Church That's not the example he gives, but I mean, like picking those examples of the KKK, I think he does say, or Westboro Church, and then they do some awful things, and then we're going to demonize all of Christianity. It's not fair, and that there's a double standard because it's like they support Saudi Arabia, and they're probably like the one of the worst, most radical places out there, and it's complex. And I think we have to, be careful about demonizing a huge group of people for the actions of a crazy minority of them.
Yeah, and I've heard the comparison made too. You definitely.
They all believe that. They all do, and blah blah blah. And I get to hear, same thing out of Bill Maher, the same thing out of Sean Hannity. It's like, there are two peas in a pod on that issue, or when it comes to Israel. I'm not going there, but I'm just saying that it's. The way they play those games, and I don't think that's fair. Even though Hannity does have, to be fair to both of them, they have had opposition on their shows to at least have a discussion about it, and I got to give them props for that.
Yeah, fair enough, but I mean, you got to read the passages in the Quran that call for jihad, that call for dominating the world. And a lot of people, I've heard the comparison made about Germany, where it's like, blame the Germans. Well, the Germans didn't do it; it was Hitler. Yeah, well, the Germans allowed Hitler to take charge. It's just like, well, you can't blame America. It's Obama that's the president. Well, who elected him as president? Who put him there? Who allowed him to stay there? It's us. So I mean, we are to blame as collectively as a country. We are to blame collectively as a country for the 8 years that was George Bush and the 8 years that's Barack Obama. Well, it's not America's fault. America didn't. Yes, America did that. America did 4 terms of Bush-Obama. I mean, we are guilty of that. And no, we weren't the ones picking all the policies from the National Defense Authorization Act to torture chambers in Guantanamo Bay or flying people into Africa to be tortured under rendition. But guess what? The people we put there were. So there is some sort, I've heard some people say that, there's two types of Muslims, the ones that want radical jihad and the ones that are not going to support that, but they want it to happen, but they're just not going to participate. Now, that's a very sweeping, unfair characterization, but I mean, we're in a bombastic time right now, but really, I think the point that Bill Maher was making on there is very fair, that this Islamophobia thing, it's shut down anyone's ability to talk about it, and there is a huge problem with what's being taught by a lot of people on this planet. And, you talked about politicizing, and I just want to get back to this because I have this Ebola thing about it being politicized here. This is from the Federalist. It said who's the author here? I can't find it. Anyway, it says that didn't take long. Mere weeks into the U.S. Ebola scare, and liberal media personalities are already playing the race card. Would a ban on travel from countries struggling to contain Ebola actually work? Maybe, maybe not. But that doesn't matter, apparently. The real problem with the travel ban is that it's obviously racist. MSNBC's, do you know this guy's name? Toure Neblet?
Oh,
do you know who that is?
He's one of the worst race baiters. He's basically the wannabe Al Sharpton, but he's really weird guy. Yeah, he almost looks like a black Andy Samberg, and he almost looks like comical and funny, but then he's just got these weird. Yeah, he gets on these weird controversies where he's into the heavy race stuff, race baiting. Everybody's a racist. That kind of garbage. That's really annoying.
I guess he looks a little bit like a Muppet.
Seriously, but.
Looks a little bit like a Muppet in this picture that I have in front of me here, but I digress. It says MSNBC's Toure Neblet called the idea of a travel ban immoral. If you're unfamiliar with Neblet, you're not alone. His programming appears on MSNBC, which not very many people watch. But since Neblet has dabbled in 9/11 trutherism, he's clearly the best person to ask about the public health efficacy of issuing a travel ban to prevent continued spread of a deadly contagious disease. And they show a quote from his Twitter. It says, "How could a plane crash into the Pentagon and not appear on video cameras and leave little wreckage? Don't buy it. Fire Me Now from 2009. Yeah, well,
Really?
I actually have no problem with. I have no problem with that.
I don't
Moving
remember
on.
that. Yeah.
It says several prominent politicians in both parties have already called for the federal government to more strictly monitor or outright prohibit people from coming into the U.S. from Ebola-stricken countries. Governor Rick Perry demanded tighter screening measures and fully staffed quarantine stations, while Senator Bill Nelson of Florida called for an outright travel ban. Senator Bill Nelson is calling for changes to help combat the Ebola epidemic by issuing a temporary ban on travel visas to people in areas hardest hit by the virus. Nelson was meeting with at the Orlando International Airport with customs officials on Wednesday. He wrote a letter to Secretary of State John Kerry asking him to consider suspending unnecessary travel to the U.S. from African countries hit by the crisis. Quote, considering the challenging events and overall magnitude of the situation, it may be time to re-examine the travel issue from the standpoint of visas, end quote. Nelson said in a release. He later said unnecessary travel would be okay, for an example, humanitarian assistance. Federal officials, though, have thrown cold water on the idea, although none of them has said on the record that the mere idea is racist. It was announced earlier today that a Liberian, that guy died today. Top government health officials said Sunday that they are opposed to placing a ban on travelers from Ebola-infected countries, warning that shutting down borders could impede efforts to, stop the spread of it. So, it is being politicized, and I swear it's just this president is so afraid of offending people, whether it's Muslims, whether it's people from Ebola-stricken countries. It's like, I don't care who you offend. You got to deal with the problems as they pop up. And it's just, one of his very first acts as president was to go out and apologize for this country everywhere he goes. So, I don't care about what the rest of the world thinks. We need to protect our homeland. And we also need to send some crew over there to try to help. And we need to get international support to get more countries to send people over there to help while they protect their borders. But not doing it, not securing our southern border, it's dereliction of duty, it's ridiculous, and it could be outright suicide.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just we shouldn't be having this discussion. If we're doing a news show today, Brian, it should never have been about Ebola, because they never should have allowed this to happen. They dropped the ball, and it's got nothing to do with they're trying to twist it into racism. That's just total insanity. Like, can you imagine like that happened in Ireland or something? There was a big Ebola outbreak, and we're just gonna. They really suggest, they can't really, like, people are going to say, oh, it's okay, we don't mind having them bring in some of the Ebola people from Ireland. They brought it over, and we're not shutting things down. I don't think anybody's going to say that's anything to do with racism. It's just common sense. It's what you do. It's, sorry, guys, but we have to quarantine this because you can talk, we're talking about millions, if not billions, dead if we, play patty cake.
Patty cake. Yeah, asleep at the switch. Is there anything else going on in the weekend news?
Besides Ebola, it's pretty much dominating everything. Plastic coffins. People beating Ebola, sneaking into the country by taking ibuprofen to mask their fever symptoms, and they can bring it, or ISIS carrying it over. Failure to do screenings. Sorry. Blake,
do that again, but start the music.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. All right.
I tricked you, didn't I?
CDC fails to institute Ebola screening at major international airports. CDC provides no comment on rapid variant impact. Feds announce airport fever screening for Ebola, which should be treated with ibuprofen. CDC suggests hermetically sealed coffin for Ebola victims. The FEMA coffin. All right, sorry.
And they're going to cremate this guy. I'm not familiar with crematoriums, but, do these ashes go up? Or do they contain all the ashes, too? Any smoke? You want to make it airborne?
Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, this. You hope you're taking the precautions, but again, we get back to who do we trust, and do they want this to get out of control? As they seem to be, grossly incompetent, and I don't know. Do they think they can contain it? I don't know. Certainly quite the news story to cover. I will say that. And it could be, one of our last, Brian. As I said, if this thing gets out of control, it'll be you and I on the radio for a lot the next couple of months because we won't be leaving the house much. I don't know. Shutting everything down. Well, do we want to go there? I don't know.
Well, if this is the last show that we did, I'm glad it was the best show we've ever had.
Yep. And,
why not?
Excellent. For sure, right. People can listen to for a few weeks. They can dig it up. I don't know. Someone's got to survive this, so there will be survivors. I don't know. Picking up this information somewhere into the future.
I'm finding a story here that says American Airlines is making an emergency landing to offload a vomiting female passenger in Texas amid fears that she has Ebola. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to get excited because there's been so many of these stories over the last week or so, like, somebody suspected of Ebola in New York or D.C., or another one in Texas, or another one here, another one in Hawaii. It's just, but so far I haven't seen anything confirmed yet. But of course we got the one, of course, in Spain. You've got the patients over there. So yeah, and I mean, who knows? With this the scariest part about this whole thing, or one of them, I guess I keep saying that, is this incubation period. The fact that you can actually carry something around that's so deadly and it just stays dormant in your face. Decides to just basically, explode and just, do its thing. And it's a pretty nasty thing.
This report, though, the woman was vomiting, but she didn't have a fever and wasn't traveling from a country that had the deadly virus. Highly unlikely that she had Ebola.
All right. Well, excellent. I will hope she does not, and along with the rest of us. And
that was from the
hopefully
Daily
they
Mail.
contain this thing.
We're going to find out, aren't we? But I had zero faith in this government. Zero faith.
Man. Right. I totally agree, and I hate to agree with you there. And boy, Brian, I don't know if we get out of Ebola. Everything else is just kind of a minor story. It's hard to say. You don't go to biblical destruction of mankind and the earth to a cute little story and I don't know where to even go. Actually, it was a great story the other day with my
Okay, good. Well, I was just going to say to wrap up the Ebola one that they took that woman's dog who died of Ebola and euthanized it, and there was a big outrage over that. Just put the dog in a special room and watch it. You could probably learn from that. Is there something the dog has that makes it resist? Like, why just kill it? I don't know. That just seems stupid to me.
Yeah. Right. No, I guess that's a good point. They could, dogs are fairly simple. They could put a bowl of food and water. Oh, Ebola. Ebola food. All right. Yes, a bowl of food and water, and keep it in a
bowl of water, a bowl of food.
Right. From our president. Is it Ebola or Ebola? I'm seeing a couple different T-shirts available on InfoWars. They're selling those. President Ebola. All right.
They're seeing the bumper stickers that say Ebola, but on the O it has like the Obama O, the Hope and Change one.
Yeah. I've heard they're getting popular in California or something like that. Or what? I don't even know where I found that. But maybe I heard that on the
get one. I sent that out earlier today.
Okay. Yeah, the bumper stickers. Right. Yeah. That's going to go viral as well. All right.
Viral.
All right. Well, Brian, yeah, we can always end this show on a bad joke. I don't know. I don't know what else.
That's kind of the best way to do it, I think.
That's how we were going to roll today. All right. Yeah, I don't know what else we want to get into, Brian. Any other news stories burning on your mind? Late-breaking stories?
This just in, Paul Krugman has called Obama one of the most successful presidents in American history.
Dude, I saw that. That was just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. Where do you even come up with that? No matter how you want to look at it, I can't see how you would say Obama is either the worst or the second worst president ever, and I don't even think it's comparable. I think it's Obama.
Who's the second worst?
Oh, I think it's definitely the Obama or then the Bush Cheney administration.
Over Woodrow Wilson? Really?
Well, I mean, Woodrow Wilson laid a lot of ugly groundwork back at the time. I can't dispute that. And
the Federal Reserve?
Federal Reserve.
The income tax? World War I? The League of Nations?
Yeah, I mean, well, what? Well, you're just talking about Toure and the why don't they release the Pentagon footage? Because why won't they release the 28 missing pages to say that there was some affiliation with Saudi Arabia and they let 9/11 potentially happen and set up a police state and a never-ending war on terror and killed 1 million Iraqis. So I think that's up in the Woodrow Wilson range, or deregulating the system. So maybe he laid the groundwork to put the Federal Reserve System in, and then Clinton got rid of the regulations, and then
I was going to say the deregulation. That was Clinton with Glass-Steagall, though. That was Clinton.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
But I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to mention President Carter, who is now saying that Obama waited too long to fight ISIS. It's rare that you have presidents really out there blasting current presidents' policies, especially when they're from their own party. But Jimmy Carter is trash talking Barack Obama right now.
That is weird because I would think that both of them are puppets. So it's kind of like, how do you make fun of another puppet when somebody's pulling their strings and you're ripping on the front man?
Fair enough. I saw that. Did you see the story that the courts ruled that the Ferguson protesters' rights were violated? Did you happen to catch that one?
I saw something about how the military potentially has plans to crack down on the protesters. I saw something about that, and that was if I could find that. I don't know if I tweeted that one out. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, there's a report that riots because they think Darren Wilson is going to be found innocent, and they're getting ready for the backlash from that. That's basically what that amounts to. What do you have, Brian?
Oh, well, this was that the court said that what the police were doing was illegal, and what they were saying was that when the police were telling protesters that they can't stand in the same spot and you have to keep walking, and they were doing that to keep crowds from gathering, and 10 turns to 100 turns to 1,000, that's illegal. Just an interesting sidebar as we kind of start wrapping up Ferguson. But,
it's illegal for the cops to tell the protesters that they have to move along, they're upholding our right to peacefully assemble. Okay, well that's good.
Yes,
then. All right.
So that was a good thing.
Okay, cool.
That was a good thing.
Excellent, awesome. All right, maybe we can end the show on a high note, Brian. Unless you want to continue along, if you dare.
I think I think today was once again all Ebola all day, and that's where we're at now. We'll wait to see how this changes. But like I said before, If we get 3 cases of Ebola, we are in serious trouble. So it looks like we might have 2 at this point. We'll wait and see if that second person, possible Ebola patient number 2, if that turns into a number 3, I think we're in trouble. I think then it might be time to do lots of cocaine this weekend.
Right. Yeah, might as well stay up for most. If you only got 3 weeks to live, you might as well, maximize your time.
Red Bull and cocaine. Oh, by the way, if you've ever drank a Red Bull, I think you're due for I think you're due for a refund. There was a Red Bull case that I just saw that came down. AT&T and Red Bull have to pay their customers money back. But I digress.
Right. Yeah, I remember we were going with that. Probably nowhere good. But yeah, I did see that class action lawsuit. I don't know how you prove that, or why would you even want to? I've had plenty of Red Bulls. I thought it was an Onion article, to be quite frank. Well, I'm not to be quite frank, but I thought that's what it was, and it turned out from BuzzFeed. It's like, why people are actually suing Red Bull for what? Because they thought it was going to give like a sports drink and give them energy, because it said Red Bull gives you wings. I don't know. I guess I never really felt like I was cheated by the product, or I really thought it was involved in false advertising, but maybe I'm crazy.
I thought it was going to be like apotheosis, where I was literally going to get angelic wings from drinking Red Bull. Right. What false claims they made. Unbelievable.
Exactly. We need to sue them into oblivion for their damages.
Yes.
All right, Brian. Well, I don't know. Guess we could probably give out a few plugs here.
Yeah, check out the homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Go ahead and subscribe, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. On thenewamericanmedia.com, on the middle to lower right side, you have the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed. On Facebook, you can search for The New American Media with spaces in between and like the page. And on Twitter, we're at American_media_Blake. Where's all your stuff?
You can find the best place to find me would be on Twitter at Eccentric99, and you can also visit my homepage, EccentricPerspective.com. I think that's all I've got, Brian. So thank you all.
All right, same here.
All right.
I'll say go Kansas City. I'm rooting for Kansas City to go to the World Series.
In the the last World Series of our lives. All right, very good.
I love it. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well then, thank you, sir. Have a good one, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Later.
Peace.
Peace.